Alright, so got a lot more progress on the truck. I've kind of failed at filming. So here you go. Basically, the next step after I got the transfer case mount tacked in place is I wanted to mock up the radius arms to get those figured out so I can start setting the caster, everything in place. Now, the transfer case pivot, you can see the driveline there, pivots right in the same location, and I'm running a double cardan style U-joint, so I want this to swing in line with that to reduce driveline plunge and all of that. So I set the radius arm pivot slightly longer than the transfer case output, and after cycling it, that was a good spot. So then I set my caster and tacked in this single tube here. That's a 2-inch 250 wall tube, and then it goes to a heavy wall. That's an 1.5 inch 5/8 wall, 3/4 inch bolt there and here. So I tacked these pieces of plate and these in position on the truck, so it will support the beam here as well as the end of the knuckle. And from there I figured out when the tires all the way turned how far back I can do this, and then I included the coilover mount onto this tube, bringing the plates all the way up there to gusset that. And then as you can see, I failed at my first set of holes, which are these ones. I actually need to move the coilover out and down a tiny bit. So I'll be holding a nice overlay plate on this and filling this hole in, so you'll never notice it and it won't compromise the strength at all. So that's kind of how I did the radius arms. Let's jump over to the other side real quick to explain that one. Alright, here's the passenger side. Same concept. I put the radius arm mounts in the same position on the frame, and then same pivot here and another radius arm point out here. I did that on this beam especially because there's this large bend here. So this will support this knuckle inner C a lot better than if it was just tight in here. It would create a weak point right here where it would want to bend. And then I did the coilover mount, same concept. This one I had to put a slight bend in this to clear the axle, so when the driver's side beam is at full bump and this side's at full droop, the axle goes up and gets about 1/4 inch from here. So that's what I'm going to do on that. And then I will be boxing this from this point all the way slightly past this junction here, and then I'll be plating the sides with a window for the axle to go through. So that'll make it a lot stronger and will keep it from wanting to pivot. Same with this here. I ran this tube right here to the bottom, and then I plated the shock mount, and then this piece will get boxed all the way in. And as you can see, this shock mount had to get bent like this for the coil to clear at full droop. So I'll be plating this in from here and then bending it, following it down all the way to there, and then from here I'll be running a plate on this tube down as well to this point to box that all in, and then I'll just drill a small hole on the inside and weld a little tube in there for drainage. So that's the same concept I'll be doing on the driver's side, but there won't be a window for the axle to go through since there is no axle going through behind the beam. It's going through the middle of the beam on that side. So that's kind of what we got going on there. Alright, so you can see a lot more stuff going on here. I've been working a lot on this truck and been failing at taking videos, so my new videos will be after explaining how I did the coilover and bypass mount, air bump mount, and all of that stuff. It'll be basically, I have a couple GoPros I'll be setting up to just film as I'm working throughout the day, and then I will stop periodically and explain certain things that I did and why. So then that helps you guys better understand that these tubes aren't just landing here and here for no reason. They're there for a reason, and this bottom junction is in a point for a reason. Everything that I'm doing on this truck is for a reason, because triangles are strong, and wherever I know that there is a load, I try to gusset that point with an additional tube to prevent it from bending or flexing. And if things flex, then they start causing cracks, which will cause failures. All right, and as you can tell, a lot more work has been done on this thing. I still am working on it every day. I'm kind of falling behind on these videos, so I'm going to quickly explain my thought process and how I got the shock mounts, the turbo, hot side pipes, intake, intercooler, all of that stuff, just in future videos, to get caught back up to the point where I'm starting on the rear fuel cell mount, tranny cooler mount, rear shock mounts, air bumps, sway bar, all of that stuff. So basically don't have to rush through these next few videos. I'll probably post a couple every week for the next probably 2 or 3 weeks to get caught back up to where I'm at now. And a lot of it is tedious. Mark, cut, or make a template, cut out the template, make a template. It's not very entertaining to film. So I'll basically just be explaining my thought process and the process to get the locations for these shock mounts, for the air bumps, all of that stuff.